I like to be involved. I like to meet the inspector. I like to be present. If something comes up, I'd like to have a better understanding of why they said what they said or what they found or how can we resolve it and that sort of thing. If I'm on the buyer's side, I like to show up at the inspections, but I'm noticing in today's business practices, not everybody's always necessarily showing up.
Today, I have another Jack's Real producer on the show. She is one of the top 500 agents in Northeast Florida. Recently, she became the secretary on the board at the St. Augustine St. John's Board of Realtors. So we're going to find out what her goals are there and what she wants to accomplish. Her team was number one at the Keller Williams Atlantic Partners in December with over $3.5 million in volume. Let's welcome the leader of the Julia Almstead Team, Julia Almstead, to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Tracy.
I'm glad we finally got on and got my little snafu and scheduling squared away there.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's the first time it's ever happened, actually. The other thing I worry about is sometimes is someone going to the wrong location, not where we're going. So that's just kind of my pre-show jitters, making sure everyone shows up. But you were actually here and early, and we're actually kicking off the show pretty much on time, which is rare.
Yes,
Usually we're 10, 15 minutes late. But as always, just want to kick off the show. Tell to get everyone to get a little bit to know about you, where you grew up, and then eventually we're working. Just what are some of the first jobs you had after? Because you did list a college there. Is that actually Westchester Community College? Is that actually what it was originally named?
And that's why I attended Westchester Community College. I
don't think we've ever talked about it. I was born in Peekskill.
Oh, no way.
My dad was born and raised in Peekskill and actually attended Westchester Community College back in the 70s. Took some engineering skills. So when I saw that on your LinkedIn, so tell us where you grew up and how'd you end up at Westchester?
So I ended up growing up in New Rochelle, New York. We were originally from Jersey City, New Jersey, and my dad was a painter contractor in the Union in New York City and was working in the Bronx in Co-op City and discovered New Rochelle. And it's a beautiful beach town and said, hey, we're moving to New Rochelle. And that's where I grew up. I moved there when I was 3. That's my hometown. And I consider that my hometown, actually. And then
He would get up every day and get on the subway.
He drove.
He drove?
He drove, yeah. Oh. He would drive every day from Jersey into Co-op City when Co-op City was being built back in the 70s. And then he realized that he could do this better and more in Greenwich, Connecticut. So he moved us to Westchester, to New Rochelle, so he can develop his business where he worked for, maybe 35, 40 years.
Cool.
In Greenwich. Anywho, so I grew up in an apartment building and we actually never lived in an actual home, like single family residence.
Interesting.
And in 2001, 10 days before 9/11, I actually moved to Tucson, Arizona with my ex-husband and my 4 children. And that is where I discovered my first home ownership experience. So I was able to afford our first home and build a pool and afford that lifestyle for my children. And it was great. And through that process, I'm building new construction with one of the national builders at that time was a phenomenal experience. And so that actually, I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years, and then I went to work part-time at one of the big box stores. And I was working there doing custom blinds and window coverings, and a lady walked in, and she ordered all of her plantation shutters. And when she was done, she said, "You're one of the best salespeople I've ever worked with." And I was like, "Wow, thank you." And she said, "Would you like a job working on this new construction development community? It's an over 55 luxury community."
We're still in Arizona, right?
We're still in Arizona.
Okay.
And that's how I got into working new construction. So I became their design coordinator. So I worked on 245 brand new homes. So you would come to the design center and meet with me, and I would do all of the upgrade options for you. And I went through that process for them. And then I became an owner's rep for them, which meant that I would actually do the punch list for the builder. So I would go through by myself, blue tape everything, inspect every single unit.
Isn't it just interesting how, I think you're a believer. I think that he sets us down these paths to prepare us for future things in our lives. And obviously this experience, and we'll dig in a little bit deeper, how you took that experience and how you obviously implement it and kind of are ahead of the ball in a lot of the new construction things that are going on here, obviously.
Right. And that was during the craze in the early 2000s. So I worked during that new construction period that had a lot of the same challenges that we do today in this crazy market, lack of supplies, not enough homes, more buyers than there are homes, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So it prepared me for this market, 20 years later, 15 years later. So I did get to experience all of that and then live through the crash of the market. And then that job dried up. And in 2007, we moved to Florida. And I knew one day I would become a realtor. It was just the next step in my, progression for real estate.
Right.
So in 2011, I became licensed.
Because Arizona really, I think if I recall, Arizona and Nevada during the 2008 time period, I mean, they really took a serious hit. I mean, I remember at that time I was still only 3 years in the industry from the mortgage side.
Right.
And dealing with these people that were $150,000 upside down in their home.
And I was one of them.
Yeah.
Because actually we moved here and couldn't sell our house in Arizona. So we lived here for the first 3 years and owned a home in Tucson and ended up having to short sale it. So I personally experienced what a short sale was like. You probably didn't think we were going to go down this road.
No, but that's cool. No, that's cool. Trust me.
It gave me firsthand experience,
as Richard mentioned, we're going to have a conversation and this just goes, it'll take us down some rabbit holes, which all of it tells about you.
Right.
And obviously anyone listening out there that, again, just how your paths have led, like you said, you felt the progression is going to be real estate. Did you actually really even think about that in 2007? No, I want to become a realtor because if I looked at your LinkedIn, it wasn't until like 13 or so.
Right.
You started working with Remax. So what
and I was actually with Berkshire prior to that.
Okay.
So I got most of my fundamental training from Ann King, who I love and adore. And I think she's amazing. And she runs all the Berkshire offices here in Northeast Florida.
So when did you join Berkshire?
So I believe it was in 2011 or 12.
Okay.
So my first year and a half in the industry, I hung my license originally with my neighbor, who is a broker, John Martin with Martin Realty. And I'm not sure if he's still a broker, but that was only for a couple months while I tried to figure out where I was going to put my license and where I was going to get training. And I remember actually calling different brokerages and some of them wouldn't even call me back. It wasn't until...
This is in 2010 to 2011.
2011, yeah. And then I got a call from Ann and she was like, yeah, let's meet. And she was like a godsend to me because she taught me all the fundamentals of real estate.
So I want to tip on that because one of the things I always like to talk about on every show is how someone selects their brokerage, good, bad, and indifferent. And would they do it differently? Or if they were recommending to someone today how they should do it? Because I really believe in talking to all the great agents that, I haven't talked to 500 Jack's Real Producers yet, but I'm well over 115 or so.
Right.
And, some of them started off with the right people, right mentors, right training, right, all that stuff. Others, did have some side steps and had to go and kind of find some of the things, and just their own personality and drive brought them to the surface where a lot of agents would have fallen out already.
Right.
So they rose to the top, the cream rise to the surface. So, looking back at that initial thing, it was more of a friend, right? Martin was more of a,
yes. He was the one who told me how to get into the business. I remember asking him, I was like, John, how do I even get my license? And he laid it out for me and said, this is what you have to do.
So you just didn't think much of it and signed up under it?
Yeah. Didn't think anything of it. But then I realized that I wanted to take it on as a serious career. At that point, I had left the big box store and went to work in commission sales back then when it was H.H. Gregg, which is no longer in existence in Jacksonville, off of South Side. And I was one of their top producing appliance salespeople. And so I took that experience and realized, and I was licensed at that point. So I was working full time during the day or during the night, mostly at H.H. Gregg, trying to learn real estate during the day. And then eventually realized that I needed to take it more seriously. So I signed up with Ann's office and she said, if you can come in for the training, will get you there. And I remember 6 months into the business, I hadn't done any deals yet. And Anne called me one day and said, I started to like teeter off and like not show up to the trainings or go to the weekly meetings. And she called me up and she said, "What's going on? I haven't seen you around the office." And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just like scared." And she's like, "Scared? What are you scared of?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like scared to take the next step into actually getting a customer and getting a contract. Like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do when I get the contract." And she goes, "That's ridiculous. I'm here for you. Go get a sale and then you call me." And I was like, "Okay." And I just needed that little push into the industry. And I like right away, right after that, I got my first contract.
So, at this time you have over a decade of sales experience,
Right.
and the different things that you were doing. And in that time, maybe you might reflect now, because myself being in sales for pretty much my entire adult life,
Mhm.
and when you do change industries, so it's, obviously, selling the appliance at the store versus,
Mhm.
you're out here, you are the store, right?
Right. Right. No one's coming into me to see, like, even selling a model home is easier than actually doing, there's a
Yeah.
product there for people to walk into and see. So when you're just in general sales, it's
Yeah, and then
different.
you got a warranty and it's all shiny and everything. Look,
Right.
that's the easy thing to do. But when you look back at that manager, her stepping up and saying, "Hey, I've got your back."
Right.
I mean, do you think back to your previous sales? And then when I know you interact with a lot of newbies today and do trainings and
Sure.
so forth,
I
and
do.
think about giving them then that same confidence.
Yeah. And I do, encourage like the newbies to do all of the training that they possibly can. When people first get into the business, I always advise them most of, your first 6 months is going to be heavy training.
Mhm.
Learn everything you can, but also at some point you have to pull yourself out of the training and actually implement the training. Some people get stuck in a rabbit hole and all they want to do is train, 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 train. And I'm like, okay, now you have to actually implement it. And that was my problem.
We're gonna starve.
Or you're going to starve, or you're going to quit the business, and that's why I think a lot of realtors end up quitting because they just don't, because they don't know yet and they haven't actually been through their first, contractor experience from all the way from showing the properties. I mean, I just remember like having to go show my first condo. My first call I got was on doing floor duty. And I answered the call and I remember showing up and I was thinking, "Oh my goodness, I haven't done the lockbox thing yet, through Supra." And I was like, "How do I do it?"
Right,
And then
right.
I didn't know I had to push the little thing underneath, so that I was,
The
but I figured
little
it out.
things that
It's
can
all
hold
the
us
little
back.
things,
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna circle back a little bit, because I got to kind of do this preliminary thing to kind of build your background up a little bit. But so in those initial, how long were you with Martin? I guess.
Oh, just a few months.
Just a few
And then
months.
a year and a half with Berkshire. And then I had an opportunity to go to the Milano Beach Remax Unlimited office. They were just opening up.
Mm-hmm.
And a mortgage broker I used to work with introduced me to them. He said, "Hey, they're looking for new agents. I should introduce you." It was a great opportunity to work floor duty where we had a lot of walk-ins.
Okay.
And
Had their retail like they do out at Nocatee.
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
exactly. So I sat floor duty every Tuesday and Thursday religiously. And my first few years, and I remember just getting tons and tons of walk-ins, and I got several sales through that.
So going back to the Berkshire Hathaway, because the first 3 months, I mean, we'll go back to that conversation you had where you told her you were
It
scared.
was 6 months.
You were about 6 months into the
6 months
business.
in, probably ready to throw in the towel.
Right. So at that point, what changes? She gives you this confidence. I've got your back. Just go out and get a contract, and then you and I will take it from there.
Right.
She'll walk you through the next step, which you've got to get at bats, right? You've got to, how many you got to get out there and talk to customers, because you got to. I think in every business and in sales, the great thing about working, especially in like a call center, as I did originally, was the at bats, right? I can make a lot of mistakes. They expect us to be perfect, where sometimes you get out there and you want to be perfect, and but you now are afraid to go out the front door because you're not.
Right. And I didn't know,
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't know enough, but you're never going to know it all or any of it actually until you go through your first, experience of showing properties,
Right.
making the appointments, learning how our systems work. we have universal systems where everyone uses showing time and, you learn the MLS and you learn how to get in there and look up properties and look up where information is. And it takes time, but through good training, you learn these things. And then when you do talk to people, you can't be a secret agent. And that's what I tell everyone. And so I think it's a mindset thing as well. Once I was ready to take on my first customer, like immediately after having that conversation with her, it just happened. I was on floor duty. That's when I got the first call over in St. Augustine Beach to go show a condo. And the lady said, I don't use computers. I have the newspaper and I'm standing at the condo. I can't get a hold of anyone in the paper. And you answered the phone. So will you come show me this condo? And I said, yes. And she bought it and she was a cash buyer. And it was a short sale on top of that. So now I had my first sale, which was a short sale. So I got to learn everything, which I had already experienced myself personally because of the market crash.
Right.
And I came here in 2007 anticipating getting my license early on. But with the market crashing, it didn't seem like a good time at that point. But then by 2011, I was like, okay, I'm ready to jump in and do this.
Right.
So that's how I did it.
So what do you start doing now? So now you got your first one under your belt. So now you got a little different confidence in yourself, a little different pep in your step. What do you start doing the next maybe 6 to 12 months of, now working? It sounds like you've got a mentor now. You just, she takes you under, I assume she took you under her wing, so to speak.
Amazing.
Got you.
Amazing training.
How important just that is, just to match up with someone a little senior with some experience under their belt.
Right.
To match up and collaborate and be able to express to them, you know what? I'm scared to go out there because I don't know what after they say I want to buy, I don't know what to do next, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How important is that, especially for someone new coming in?
It's super important to not listen to those fears that we all face. You have to be uncomfortable to grow. And if you're not feeling uncomfortable, then you're not growing. I'm a firm believer in that. So
I'm going to give you that book that's sitting over there. It says Overcome Your Villains.
Yep.
I don't know if you've listened to my podcast that I had with Heather.
I saw that she was on.
You need to listen to that. And she talked to fear is a liar. She didn't actually make that phrase. She stole it from somewhere else, but fear is a liar. But the second thing you just said is, you sounded just like her.
You can't, if you're feeling comfortable, you're not growing. You have to be uncomfortable to grow.
She dives into that. She talks about if you feel uncomfortable, that's a green light to move forward.
That's right. And I now coach. I don't really coach people. I mean, I do, but I don't, not professionally, but agents come to me all the time asking me for advice. I just had a friend drive up from Orlando over the weekend and she's struggling at her brokerage in Orlando and, wanted to talk to me about, how am I doing my business? How did I get there? And I told her the same exact story. I remember having that little, I think, what's it called? The drunk monkey on your shoulder. And that little drunk monkey will constantly tell you, you can't do this. You can't move forward. You can't achieve. It's a mindset. You have to believe in yourself and you have to come from a place of service as well. It's developing relationships. After I gained my confidence, once she gave me that push, she taught me to buy my own name online, my domain name. So juliaalmstead.com came alive, and then next thing I know, I'm advertising, I'm pushing my name out there, I'm on social media, and I have other brokerages trying to recruit me, and they all think I'm in the business like several years, and I'm in my first year, and they're like, how long have you been? Like 3 years, 5 years? And I'm like, no, this is my first year. And they're like, I hear your name everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, because I wanted my name to resonate with people. I don't want them to forget me.
Right.
I didn't want it to be like Julia sells homes or Julia sells St. Augustine or, I wanted it to be Julia Almstead.
Right.
I wanted my name to stick in people's minds and I didn't want them to forget about it. And so,
because the sales thing and stuff I see a lot of them do can be confusing because there are so many differentiations of it.
Right.
Jax, St. Augustine, cells, or I see that all because I have to, if I'm emailing somebody, I'm like, oh, what's their email? I have to go back and reference it. Where if it's just your name.com, which can be hard. they want me to pay money for mine. I tried to get it when I was starting to pod. That's why it's TracyHayesPodcast.com.
Got it. Okay, because somebody else already had it.
But
yeah.
some guy in China bought it, and I had him search it down. I paid GoDaddy to try it, and the guy would never respond. Some dude in China buys up these, whatever.
And people do. So that's one of the things I've learned over the years is protect your own name, like own your own name, go out there and register, buy the domain name. It's cheap. It's a few bucks to own your own .com name, protect it. I even have my maiden name, juliagaletic.com. I don't use it, but I own it. I don't ever want someone else to take my name and do something with it. I don't know what they would do, but you know what I mean? Well,
I mean, unless there's some other professional out there with their same name.
Exactly.
But everyone should go on and because like I said, you could pay, a lot of times it's just $1, whatever for a year. It could, reserve it and GoDaddy will, and then, for 10 years, it costs you $10-20 and it's reserved. Right. So what are some of the things you start doing? Again, going back that 6 or 12 months, you've got the mentor now. She's coaching you on basically branding yourself.
Correct. Totally. She was a big brand yourself person because she had her own branding when she was in production and really taught us every single week how to run a CRM, follow up with customers, add customers in, and then their CRM. She really heavily taught us on how that CRM works, which provided us a website. And then everything we needed to follow up,
leverage the tools,
leverage all the tools, which I still am a firm believer in CRMs today and using one and using it religiously. And that has kept me in business literally all these years has been my CRM.
I think I know one of the downfalls on my side and not in the mortgage business, but I can only imagine it's out there for some real estate agents as well, is like, they go to these brokerages like a Keller Williams or a Remax, and they've got, they're all selling that they've got the technology, they've got this fancy CRM, but no one's actually there explaining to them how to go from A to B to C in that CRM. Right. And that tool just sits there because
a lot of times you find that, correct. So I ended up landing in Remax, which had the same CRM, but they weren't really using it at that particular office. Mm-hmm. And when Brenda, who owns Remax Unlimited, who I also love and adore, I always end up loving all my brokers. But anyway, she said, if you know how to use it. And so we worked it out where I ended up teaching all the agents in all of our offices how to use that CRM at that time when Remax was using it. Mm-hmm. And so it was funny that I kind of I transitioned from one brokerage to the other, and then the CRM really became an intricate part of my business. And it always has been, and it still has been to this day. I will say that, then eventually coming over to Keller Williams, their training, I think, has far exceeded any other training I've ever received. Although I will say that I think Berkshire, because I don't know their training today, but I think they do also a phenomenal job, very equal and equivalent to Keller Williams. It was different at that time. I didn't stick around long enough to get all of it, but I'm sure.
I think they've recharged.
It's really good.
The last few months, I've seen some people go over there, some top-notch people go to Berkshire. So I think they've been, recharged going in whether 2023 was something that they were, to attract the agents back over. There's always this migration from here and there.
They've always had a really good training, though.
I think the reputation has been consistent.
Right.
They're doing something now. At least I've
heard.
Just because I've seen a couple top agents go over there.
For me, I love Keller, though, now. Mm-hmm. Like, now that I'm here, in retrospect, a lot of times I always say I wish I had started here sooner, just because their training is so intense and it's really good. It's very useful, helpful, and our company is building their own CRM right now. And Gary Keller, as you know, is one of the biggest real estate gurus in the world. And so to follow him and learn from him and mastermind is pretty incredible.
I want to educate, because you're passionate about the CRM and really leveraging it as a tool where I don't think enough agents, they could move their game a little bit if they took a little bit of time here. I had Marky Lemons, who was at the rebar camp. When she was on the show, she was actually listening to her podcast the other day. She said 8 by 8. So by 8 o'clock in the morning, she tries to contact 8 people. Now, obviously, she's probably not calling them.
Right.
But she's sending some sort of message to them one way or another.
Right.
And then I forget what the number was, 6 or 8. people a day she wants to add to her CRM.
Mhm.
Or she's getting there. Her goal is to add a number of people every day.
Correct.
And obviously over the course of the year, that adds up to these people that you're communicating in. And we'll get into staying top of mind in a little bit.
Sure.
But how important is to have, or do you have some sort of regimented system that you have to make sure everyone that you're contacting is getting in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the number. That's the easiest part to fail at with the CRM is not putting everyone in. And if you're a high D on the disc profile, like I am,
Yeah.
it's really hard to
You gotta have
sit
Richard
there.
over.
Well, actually, my daughter works on the team.
She likes that. Okay.
So my daughter just graduated college and with a degree in journalism, and realized that that's not really her passion anymore. And she's going for her real estate license next month. And right now she's the behind the scenes handling the CRM. On the way here this morning, I got a call from someone who found me on Google, on my Google business page. And I said, how did you find me? And she said, Google, they're in town. They want to find a property. I said, I'd be happy to help you. We hung up. They texted me all their information. Before I even stepped in this office, I texted it all to my daughter. And I gave her a little snippet of who they are, what they're looking for. And I'm actually showing them a property at one of my listings tonight at 5:30.
Excellent.
But
yeah,
I, said, hey, put them in, let's get them in. And she now handles all of that for me. I'm teaching her the CRM so that she knows how to maximize on it. For us, it does everything. So I can do my postcards, which I always mail out after I have it just sold. I don't typically do just listed because by the time those go out in this market, possible that the house just sold, although we're seeing the market kind of in a little wonky place right now. Some homes and properties are getting multiple offers and others are not. So it just depends on, pricing and desirability.
But the importance of the CRM and you're getting your daughter started off correctly.
Right.
And she still is young enough and has a soft brain and can absorb all that information. But even us older peeps that, have, high D's to understand, set that regimen of making sure those people, whether it's you or your assistant, that information is getting in there every day.
Right.
And adding to it. And I think, obviously, you would agree, just something's probably already gone out to them. Right. Via email, through your CRM, or your daughter sent something out to them. So where they're driving around, they've been probably playing on the internet because they found you on Google, obviously. So they may have gone on some other sites and now people are starting to call them, but because you've talked to them on the phone and now something has already gone out an email to them in less than the last hour and a half.
Correct.
They now feel that you're already responding. Okay, Julia's good. She's responding to us. She answered her phone and she's already sent us an email. So she's not ignoring us.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest secrets in this business. Just answer your phone. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten new customers, sellers, listings, whatever, just from answering the phone. Like I get, wow, you answered your phone. And I'm like, yeah, I always answer my phone.
Isn't that amazing?
As much as possible. Yeah. Unless I'm in, out showing a property or in a listing appointment. I'm trying to answer my phone as much as possible.
Yeah. I love it. Now, at least mine comes up, says potential spam.
Right.
And we do get a lot of those.
Yeah. I may not be answering those.
It says potential spam. I said that.
Or all the spam text messages. Now you have the report spam button, like through Verizon. And so they stopped giving me health insurance quotes.
So what do you feel right now is, and I know this is constantly evolving. So you kind of have to take this, 27th of February and stop time for a moment.
Okay.
What do you think is been one of your reasons for your continued consistent success? And it seems like you're continuing to grow every month at a nice pace, right? You didn't do it overnight,
right?
But you just constantly got this upward.
So like in any business, there's an 80-20 rule. And 80% of your business will come from 20% of your customers. Who gives you most of your business? It's going to be your sphere of influence. And I stay in touch with all of my past customers on a regular basis. This year, we're trying to roll out, because I haven't been good about it the last few years, but and I've done customer events in the past. I really, really want to focus on quarterly customer appreciation events. to keep our customers coming in. Our particular office also provides us that ability. They do events for our customers as well. So we have the ability to do like a pie party, or we did a barbecue party around 4th of July last year. It was a huge success. And so I think staying in touch with your former customers gives you more repeat business than you realize. I think that's going to drive your business more. For newer agents, there's a really cool little exercise that you can do. We just trained with the president of Keller Williams Realty International, Mark King, a couple weeks ago down in Orlando, and he made everyone in the audience take their phone. Do you have an Apple phone?
Yes.
You do?
There's an app that'll pull off every one of those people on there, yeah.
So if you go into your Apple phone, right, go to contacts, okay? If you go to contacts and you hit the button in the corner, it says lists. You click that. How many contacts does it say I have?
3,433.
3,433 people in my phone. That's a hefty database right there.
When you don't want anyone contacting you. And it used to be you just went on there, I click and set up, all right. So it wasn't taking
like a block.
Yeah. I forget what the terminology, someone's probably laughing and watching this like that. But they went and changed it. So now you're like, it's asking you 3 different things. And do you want to set a schedule and all this other thing? So yeah, that's what I do. And because about a month or so ago, I was like, why is this not, you updated the software, right? And changed it. They probably, actually, there's an update out there right now, which will probably change it back because everybody probably complains.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, for the newer agent who says they don't have a database, that's not true. All they have to do is go into contacts, hit that little button in the corner that says lists, and check out and see how many people you have in your phone. That's your sphere of influence right there. I mean, it could be your doctor, it could be your dentist, it could be your attorney, it could be anyone.
So taking that, and I was jumped you a little bit there. There is actually an app too that will download all into an Excel spreadsheet for you too as well. So you can actually look through there and, find out, maybe there's some people,
right.
Of course you never know who's going to give you a sale. Right? I mean, it just doesn't know. So, but how would tell someone that you got 3,400 names on there? What did he tell you to do next? How did he tell you to reach out to those 3,400?
So 3,400 people we could download, like you said, and then upload it into our CRM. So then you start calling people, dial people. They say statistically it takes 17 dials to reach one person live and speak to them. And if you use what we call the Ford method, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, all you have to do is call people and ask them those 4 questions. You never, ever speak about real estate.
Of those 3,400 names, some of them you probably have forgotten. You're probably like, who is that?
I have over 8,000 people in my CRM. That's just on my phone.
Yeah. So what I was just saying, that agent, to download that, you put in your, CRM, you start looking at, and that name comes up, like, because obviously they were in your phone. So you don't want to call them and they go, oh, hey, Julia. And you're like, no idea who this is. So, but the great thing is we have social media. So look them up on social media. It might remind you of how you interacted with that person.
I actually leave labels on anyone who's in my phone. So if it's a seller, I will put seller, or like a potential seller. I'll put seller and actually the address when I save them in my phone. So that when it pops up, I'm like, oh, okay. If it's a buyer, I say buyer, and so if I search the word buyer under my contacts right now, there's probably, tons of them in there, or sellers in there. And so I do label everything very carefully in my phone when I go to save them. But yeah, your CRM will save your business. Just start.
Being a slightly detailed, we're talking about an address and a phone number, really. The more information you can get, obviously you can put that in that CRM because maybe you will do a mailing or something. So, the more information you can get, but just taking a few minutes at the beginning, or when you take that person's information in, to, put those little extra details in there, obviously will save you time on the back end when you're trying to recall it later. Things slip our mind, or how do we ever interact with that person? But again, going back to the CRM, like I said, I think it's underutilized in our industry as much as all the experts.
If it is for them, because I know it does keep you in business. This is one of my rules: no sticky pads. We're not allowed to use sticky pads.
Those are good when you're on like a Zoom call, and I can't remember.
Those are not good ever. So let me just say this. This is Sales 101 from 20 years ago.
Okay.
Use a notepad. This notepad will stay with me all year until I fill it up and finish using it. And then I'll buy another one. I probably go through 2 or 3 the whole entire year.
Right.
And so when I start my day,
You don't misplace it or leave it somewhere, because that's what I do.
nope, I don't misplace it. It stays with me all the time. And I forgot to date this page. So this was the phone call I got in the car on the way here.
Right.
Luckily for me, Rich was driving. So I was able to take notes and take the call and be able to speak with them, in full, and then even actually book an appointment for them this afternoon, which is great. On one of my listings.
Right.
So maybe I'll get to sell it today.
But even like you said, even if Rich wasn't driving, you just take the 2 minutes to pull over the side of the road.
Sure, absolutely.
Because showing up late to this, you showed up 10, 15 minutes late because of that. That's more important.
But I didn't. I was early, right?
Yeah, you were early. You were early because Rich was driving.
Right.
But
that's true. He does keep me on time.
The importance
realtors are never on time.
I mean, the importance of taking that first phone call in full. Man, you're working with a lot of new agents. I would imagine that's something you probably coach them on.
Yeah. So I definitely, I'm not doing as much teaching this year. I stepped back this year so that I can focus on our team and growing our team. And I'm heavily focused on my education in real estate and teaching her, because I'd love to see her, get into a more permanent role with us. I don't know if she'll end up in sales, but definitely as like maybe a director of operations eventually. She's a very bright girl, very organized. And so I do, she's my child. So invest in her. Why not? Right. Yeah. So I kind of step back in terms of developing a team. I love everybody.
My next question is tell me about the team currently, and then what are your goals? So that's actually my next question.
So we scaled back a bit because I generally love to help everyone, and I come from a very positive place. And my company does a personality test for everyone who joins our brokerage. We have what we call a KPA. It's a Keller Williams personality assessment. And on mine, it says that I'm so positive, almost can't see a problem when it's happening. It's just kind of so.
Because you see everything as an opportunity.
Right. I see everything as an opportunity, where Rich is we're in the yin and the yang. So he helps balance that out because he's a little bit the opposite of me. And so I will love to take on every agent who wants to come work with us, right? So success attracts talent. So whenever you start becoming successful in a business, people call, hey, what are you doing? I want to be a realtor. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so in the beginning, I was, taking on some agents, but I didn't have a system in place really for them, to be honest.
Right.
And some of these successful teams, they're doing it right. They have the training, they have the systems, they know exactly what they expect from their people. I just wanted to help everybody. So then I realized that was actually hurting me. So I had to scale back and we had to part ways. And so now I'm just hyper focused on us, just Rich and I are in the sales and we're in production, but I'm more heavily in production than he is. He does work a lot of appointments with me, but he's the behind the scenes for everything, all of our listings, anything happening. And then we have my daughter, and then we have one other person who does mailers for us.
Well, I mean, just you and Rich's relationship and how he takes that off of you is one of the I think the number one challenge for growing agents is that first assistant, whatever they may be doing. I think obviously when you're small, you always, everyone wears multiple hats, right?
Right.
Number one thing for the newcomer group, Sadie and Luke, was they felt they should have made their first hire a year previously.
Right.
Not that they wasted a year, but they could have done that much better the year before if they haven't. At what point, or just how important is him taking a lot of that load off you, like, putting a listing in the
right. He's done a lot of that for me,
following up on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just you having that now open mind to have conversations with people. To take the more detailed notes. You're not being distracted by other things that you need to do because you're again wearing all these hats. You're now kind of getting to one hat,
right?
And that's the production side.
Yeah, and I'd love to. My long-term goal is to be a coach for other agents, but not right now. although I feel like I do have a lot of agents who call me constantly for help. I've had to step down
because you answer your phone.
Right. So I used to be on the leadership council at Keller Williams,
Right.
but I've actually stepped down this year just so that we can focus on our team. And so if you ever, and I encourage, and I wish that I had read this book when I first started, was The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the MREA book. That's the Gary Keller book he wrote. It's the Bible on real estate and how to grow a team. And so if you are interested in growing a team, I highly encourage that people read the MREA book. The very first hire is an assistant. So never try to do a team.
That I've heard this before. It's not a transaction coordinator, but an actual assistant.
Definitely not a transaction coordinator. It's definitely an assistant first, and then a TC. And then, you grow from there. You can get your buyer's agent. Really, your assistant should be helping you do that first hire as a buyer's agent. And then eventually you get that lead buyer's agent or lead listing agent if they eventually grow into that position. And then from there, they actually hire on the rest of the people coming on. So it's a process. It's a long process. It takes a while to get there, but you really have to have a great admin. So that's our focus this year, is to get my daughter fully trained on just doing the administrative part, be able to run the team. And we're creating the systems now that we feel would be great for us.
Hey folks, this episode was produced by Streamline Media, the #1 media company for helping brands generate content that converts. I knew I wanted to start a podcast to reach more people and bring value to the world, but I did not have the time or the knowledge. Streamline Media became my secret weapon to building my show. They handle all my back-end work, production, and strategies to keep my show going strong. If you're in the real estate business and looking to make content that generates more leads and brings in more revenue, check out the Streamline Media link in the show notes and discover how partnering up can supercharge your path to real estate excellence. Now, just, Gary, if Gary says something about this or not, because I think a lot of agents are like, well, I've had, good last 10 months, but I bring on this person and next couple months, go south, or, hey, it's December. So, January and February could be slow, whatever whatever the reasoning is, because that's their fear, right? What if I don't sell another home?
Right.
And I've hired this person. Does Gary talk about, finding that assistant or probably sharing an assistant with, one or two other agents to actually give that assistant a full day work?
I mean, you definitely can, but you should be hiring a rock star agent that's bringing you 10% more business. So you shouldn't have to worry about their salary if they're actually helping you grow your business.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of the admin. Yes, definitely you can share. And there are some people, even in our office, who share a marketing person. I know a couple of agents share one person. But I definitely think ultimately you have to work as a solo agent. You shouldn't even be thinking about a team if you're not, productive and doing at least 36 to 40 deals a year. Once you hit that level, you're going to need to recruit some help.
Right.
It's just, not manageable, but you can grow the team. You don't have to be a giant team, and you can remain a solo agent. We have very successful Keller Williams agents who are still solo agents doing 100 deals a year, nationally all over the place. And they have 3 assistants, so they still want to stay in production, but they're not really into managing other agents, or training them or bringing them up to speed. And that's fine too. There's all different formulas.
Well, I've obviously had Christina Welch on. That's the one thing about Keller Williams.
I look up to her
I
tremendously.
mean, and I've seen her grow over through her entire growth process of having her team. Even when she was with Keller Williams Jacksonville over here at the Halcyon office, I remember going over there. So I've seen her grow, and we talked about it because it was the second time on the show, and we really talked more business than just, hey, where'd you grow up, that type of thing. And we dug in, and running a team is not, running a real estate sales team where people are 1099 is a little different than, say, running a mortgage team here with Loan Depot, where, you're kind of 1099 because you only get paid for what you do. But it's a little different because they can come and go when they want, and you don't really have that say. You've got to set some boundaries
You
that
do.
this is how our team's going to work and go now
And the expectations,
with the culture of your team.
Right.
Right. This is how we're
This
going
is
to.
how we do it. And every team functions differently,
Right.
but you have to have those systems and expectations early on. I know some teams out there, if you don't get your first contract in 30 days, you're off the team. It's that simple. And some of them are more difficult. If you don't enter your first 200 contacts in their database in the first week, you're off the team, So there's all of those standards. And and a lot of people, think, oh, well, I'm going to join a team because I'm going to get leads. But you should also be bringing business to that team. The whole idea is that you're a team, right? So it's a team effort. They give you business, you all help each other out and you bring some business to the team as well.
As you talked about, like, you didn't have the processes really in place. So you took a step back from the team, and you're going to evolve these processes. And again, you got Rich already as a solid figure on your team, as Christina has a handful of solid people in her interior circle, right?
Yeah. She started with Kelly.
Yeah. And that's how she grew with George. And that's how she's been able to grow. You have to build that foundation because you yourself, unfortunately, don't have enough time in the day.
Well, high D's will never put the systems in place.
Right.
We don't function that way.
No.
So if you don't know what the just personality is, find out what you are.
Yeah.
Because that's going to really make a difference. So I've never been able to slow down and stop long enough to write out those processes. I'm incredibly impatient. So
I'm the same way. But where I was going with that point is, if you want to develop a team, you have to go. I would suggest if someone said, "Hey, I want to do a team," I say, well, you need to go talk to Christina Welch.
Right.
If you can get in with DJ and Lindsay, I'd talk to them.
Absolutely.
I go talk to Luke and Sadie Newcomer, Cece Underwood, Sarah Rocco, every one of them.
Yeah, they're all very successful teams.
Successful and run. Everyone
and they're all running it differently, I'm sure.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
But they're committed to that way they're doing it.
Yes.
And if you're not committed to running that, the people following you are not committed either.
Correct.
And therefore, you don't, in developing the process, like you said, getting those attention to detail people.
Right. So it will ultimately be, before the end of this year, my daughter's job to implement those, to get the systems ironed out and processes literally spelled out. When I first joined Keller, one of the first people I wanted to meet was Christina Welch. I remember saying to Mark Solano, "Who's this Christina Welch? I see her name everywhere, but I don't know who she is. I'm dying to meet this woman." And he goes, "Oh, do you want to meet Christina? She owns part of the St. Augustine office. She's one of the investors. Would you like to meet her next week?" And I said, "Yeah, you could set that up. She would meet with me." And he's like, "Yeah," because I thought, she's like this god. I'm like, "Who is this woman?" So he's like, text me like an hour later, "Hey, Christina's going to be at the meeting next week on Tuesday morning. Are you available at 9 for 1 hour to meet with her?" And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is this great opportunity. And I had 2 pages of notes and questions I wanted to ask her. And she sat there and told me everything. And the first thing she said is, "Have you read the MREA book yet?" And I said, "No, I don't even know what that is." And so it's like, I'm taking all these notes. And then that was my first step. And she told me her backstory, how she had been in another brokerage, came to Keller, read the MREA book, and then implemented all the systems from that book. And that's how she got started. And I look up to her, even though I'm 10 years older than her, you know, and I'm just like, you're doing it right, but you also have to gauge, like, it's not all about being a team if you don't want that in your life. It's perfectly fine being a solo agent. We also follow Ricky Caruth, who's the #1 Alabama, was for years Remax agent. We personally met him recently and drove out to Alabama and spent the day with him. And he's been someone that we followed for the last 5 years, and we really look up to him. And his style of real estate and selling and building relationships is very similar to who I am. And so that's how I've always treated my business. Just don't be a secret agent. You have to let everyone know that you're in real estate. You can help them. And don't be insulted if your friends or family don't use you, because sometimes they, hold their cards close to their chest and they don't want to share their information with you necessarily or do a deal with you, because it's personal for them and they don't want to share their finances or whatever. But always take the high road and stay super professional is what I tell everyone. Don't get angry or upset about losing deals. Just remember that if you lose a deal, it's an opportunity to work on the next one. They just freed you up. use the next method, move on, next, let's go, next. And that's what Ricky Carruth teaches. And we love and adore him as well.
That right there is a great reel. Just that last 30 seconds that you went off on there. And because we can get frustrated, especially when times are slow or you're just getting started, and you could, sometimes you can hold on to that egg a little too tight and it cracks in your hand and you're like, oh, yeah.
If you're worried about
or grip the bat too tight, that's the terminology, right?
Correct.
Grip the bat too tight. Yeah.
So I think you focus on service. Always come from a place of service and how you can help someone. Never think about the money at the end of the day. It shouldn't matter. The money will come later on if you're providing a good service. And everyone, the way they provide service, that's up to them, whatever their business practices are. We can't judge each other, and we shouldn't judge each other. Some people like to go to, or do open houses. Some people don't. Some people like to go to the inspections. Some agents may not want to go to the inspections. Everyone has their own business practices. And I know I do things a little bit old school. I feel like I have a fiduciary responsibility to, see everything all the way through from contract to close. I like to be involved. I like to meet the inspector. I like to be present. If something comes up, I'd like to have a better understanding of why they said what they said or what they found or how can we resolve it, and that sort of thing. If I'm mostly if I'm on the buyer's side, I like to show up at the inspections, but I'm noticing in today's, practices, not everybody's, always necessarily showing up, but that's okay too.
I'm trying to remember who I saw recently talking about why are you at the inspection? What do you that was their term. They were
questioning why attend an inspection.
I'm trying to remember who it was. I might have been one of the top agent on YouTube or something.
Well,
I forget where I saw his teaching, but again, so what works for you? If that's you building, you're working on actually, you're going to the inspection, but you're actually working on your relationship, right? Because that could be your next referral. It could be the next 10 referrals over the next few years that these people refer you because you actually did and you made that imprint.
Well, if something comes up in the house and you're not present, how do you know exactly what went on if you don't have that one-on-one with the inspector?
Right.
So you're reading a report. Are you an inspection professional now? Are you going to know exactly what they meant when they were there? Now you have to go back to the house, look at the report, figure out what they were talking about. If something big comes up, I want to know about it at the time it's happening. So I think that if you can come from a place of solution, everyone can move forward. And that comes with a team effort. Who's your team if you're a solo agent? Your team's going to be your mortgage broker. It's going to be your title company. Your inspector. That's actually your team. So that's another way you can promote yourself as a solo agent. Well, my team is comprised of, all of these people, my brokerage, and that's another great way to market yourself.
Yeah, I'm mixed. I mean, a team takes a lot of work. I think, going back to Christina, because I've just seen her team come, the people that have come and gone through her team as she's gotten better at retention. And I think it's why she, again, is always moved forward. But obviously the heartbreak when someone, you pour into somebody and they leave. If you don't want the heartbreak of...
Or sometimes you have to make them leave, right?
Right.
Because it doesn't work out.
You suggest...
So the trick is the hiring process. They should move
Mastering the hiring process.
The mastering is the hiring process. At Keller Williams, we do have a class on hiring. It's career visioning. And then they have another class on 30, 60, 90. There should be a 90-day plan. So the first 30 days, the next 60, and then the last 90. And if you pass that and graduate that, then you get to stay on the team. But those first 90 days are kind of iffy. You may or may not make it, depending on if you follow all of the systems that are in place and the expectations. So
I got the office. I'm going to, the questions, I actually have it down here.
Sure.
But I want to go back to Ricky Carruth.
Okay.
How long did it, you said you've been basically following about 5 years.
Yeah. Rich actually introduced me to him. He found him on YouTube and said, "Oh, you should really
like
listen
what
to
he was
this
talking
guy.
about.
I like what he's talking about." Yeah.
To find someone like that, and here again with a different brokerage, totally different state, but obviously, luckily, Ricky pours into YouTube so others can share his success and his vision and ideology of the business. How important? I mean, for you on a daily basis and know that there's this, ultra successful real estate agent that you align with a lot in your vision and ideology and how you do it.
Right. So I could tell you someone locally who I also connect with who reminds me of a Ricky Carruth, and that would be Bill Miller
Mhm.
in St. Augustine Beach. Another great realtor. I texted him last year. I saw him listing all these properties, and I'm like, what is he doing? He's amazing. So I texted him. I'm like, hey, Bill, I'm like, what's going on? And I've developed a great
All my friends
relationship
decide to
with
sell their
him.
homes.
Yeah, no. So he was the one who
Uh,
said to me, I've literally gone back and called every single person I ever did a deal with. And I was like, that's it. And he goes, literally, that's it. That's all I'm doing. And from there, I was like, okay, we're going to be calling every single person we've ever done a deal with.
mhm.
And that's all we've been doing all year, last year, this year so far. I mean, and I haven't even gotten through the list yet.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not even done.
Well, how do you, because I think that, like you had 3,400 names in there.
Mhm.
To someone say, oh, that's how overwhelming. What would, they just made 10 or 15 calls a day.
Sure. You
Took
can
the
do
first
10
hour
calls
a
a
day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do 10 calls a day, and that could be enough.
And just keep
So,
chipping away.
yeah, the difference is your mindset. Are you showing up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock? Are you starting your day in real estate? Are you treating it like a business? Are you going to the gym at 9 in the morning? You should be done with that.
Mhm.
Or you should be hitting the gym at the end of the day. Or maybe not. Maybe that's when you do work out. But at some point, you have to wake up and show up. And I do have a saying, but I don't want to curse on this job. I mean, on this interview, but I do always say, show up and it happens. And so
Yeah.
that's what I usually tell people. It's
Yeah.
a mindset, but if you don't treat it like a business, nothing's going to happen. But you have to create that momentum just by your mindset. Every morning, I definitely, have a moment of gratitude. I think about my goals. I think about the things I want. And then I'm always thinking about the people I want to talk to the next day. Who are the 10 people I'm going to call or 20 people I'm going to call? Some days I don't get to it because when you do get to be productive and busier, people start calling you more than you have a chance to call them. But one of the rules that we implemented is the 1357 rule, which is after we have a closing with someone, I try my hardest to call them week 1 after closing, week 3, week 5, and week 7, just to make sure how they're doing in the new home, wherever they've moved to and how they're doing. And then having those 36 touches is what Keller Williams believes in at a minimum. Now with the internet and social media, you can end up staying in touch with someone 72 times within a year, and
Easily. Yeah.
that's how people will remember you. So little takeaways,
All right.
little nuggets for some
So
people.
the question I held in reserve, that the office, I know the office down there. Are you there's larger teams down there like Noah
Right.
Bailey and so.
Noah just moved.
Oh, did he?
He did, because they got so big, they were busting at the seams. So they needed a larger space. So they're in the old Debbie Day spa across from Osprey Taco area over there.
I'm not familiar with that.
So
But
yeah, so they
so
just
he had to open
moved.
his own.
He had to open
opened
up his own business, what we call a business center.
Right.
Yeah.
But the coming in the office versus, obviously we've got a lot of virtual, whether it's EXP or Florida Homes, those companies promote that they don't, they have some small little offices, but they're not like, the large office that you guys have down there, or even Christina Welch's office, she's expanding.
Yeah, she's renovating right now.
The indifference of working in the office versus virtually, in your opinion, especially again, looking at that first year or two that someone's working, someone's doing the business and they can go work from home and, they're doing the business. They've got enough bats at, they've done 100+ transactions. They made enough contacts with other agents that they can call the broker and they're going to get attention. But for that first person that doesn't even have that, I would say 100 transactions or less, or first couple of years, how important is, in your opinion, to come into the office and get the synergy that's there?
I think it's very important because you're not going to learn if you're just sitting isolated at home trying to do this job. I think you come into the office, if you have some top producing agents in the office, you want to kind of hang around them. You want to hear what they're doing. You want to learn from them. You want to have a conversation. with them if they give you the time because they're super duper busy. You usually don't see the top producing agents in the office because they're out there selling. They're too busy to be in the office. But if there's training, get your office training calendar, attend all the training you can get, network. If you see events, if you're getting email invitations to brokers opens, by golly, if you're new in this industry and you don't know any of their agents in town, you should attend their brokers opens. Build relationships with other agents. If you don't know anything about new construction, which I sell a lot of, walk into a model home, introduce yourself to those salespeople, develop relationships with those people. So your office is important. Going to other brokers opens around town from other brokerages is very important, because later on, when you have to do a deal with a person, isn't it so much easier? It flows better if you guys all
Even
know
if you just
each
shook their
other.
hand for a few minutes, said hi, and
Right.
then exchange business cards or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I get an offer from someone I know, it's just that much easier. It's like, oh, that's so much easier because
Mhm.
I know them and I know their personality and I know that they're professional. When you don't know someone and you hope it's going to go smooth, because that's really what we want at the end of the day. We want everyone to behave in a professional manner and, and respond in a timely manner.
My question I've been asking lately, because it's
Mhm.
actually one of those YouTube reel things I've been picking up from some of the agents that are bigger YouTubers, is like, I just put, like, what is your pet peeve when especially when you're working with one of these agents on the other end of a deal? It's
Mhm.
obviously someone you don't know, but you're like, man, you just want to reach through the phone and, like, let me tell you what you need to do. What are some of your pet peeves that you run across?
So I've matured as the years have gone on.
Sure. Uh,
I've tried to be very professional all the time, but it is a tough emotional business.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that people need to remember, that the transaction is not theirs, it's the customer's. So keep your emotions out of it. That was one of the things Ann King told me. Don't get emotional. It's not your transaction. You are not buying or selling that house. That is
Christina
their
Christina
transaction.
Welch says houses don't cry.
That's
That's
right.
what
Oh, I know. And Christina, I love Christina. She's like, I'm so tired of everyone crying. It's so true. So, keep it on a professional level. The transaction is not yours, really. It's the customer's. One of my pet peeves is if I feel like I want to just have that conversation with the person on the other end of the transaction, because sometimes things get lost in translation through text or email.
Mhm.
It's great to document everything. It's great to email everything. Yes, to keep a record of everything. Absolutely. But at some point, some of the time, it's just easier if you talk it through, because there's too many details that might get missed.
Right.
And that's my only pet peeve, is if I've called you and you're like, what do you need? Or you text back, or at least give me the opportunity, like say, hey, I'm in something, I'll call you later. If I feel like I need to talk it through, I'll call you. And it's as simple as that. I
Mhm.
think sometimes things get lost in translation, and some people aren't talkers on the phone. And
Us high D's on
Mhm.
a text message. To me, as I could tell when sometimes occasionally someone will respond to me. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh shoot, did I upset them?
Right.
I mean,
Because
I,
you're so short and to the point
yeah.
and quick, and you shouldn't be. And no one. And that's the other thing. If you haven't done a disc profile, I highly,
Mhm.
highly encourage it, because then you learn what the different personalities are. Now I can tell a D, an I, an S, a C right away. And it helps even just working with my customers, to know who
Right.
they are. So I highly encourage people to learn more about the disc. And then if you've never done a personality test for yourself, you should learn who you are. Had I read my personality test when Keller Williams first brought me on years ago, I would have, but I took the test and I never bothered to read it. So that doesn't really help, right? So then I go back like 2 years later and I'm like, oh, wow, that says that I'm really positive and I can't really see a problem when it's coming. Like, because I think there's a solution to everything, right? And I
Right.
love solutions. I love to come from a place of solution,
Right.
and so anyway, I do encourage people to do a personality test on themselves and a DISC. Learn the DISC profile, and Tony Robbins teaches it. We have Angie Bell, who is,
Yes.
Angie.
Mm-hmm.
And so Angie actually teaches the DISC.
She was one of my early podcasts. I think it's somewhere in the 20s.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
No, I've known it. Me and Angie
Cool.
spent a nice long weekend with John Maxwell back in, it was 2019.
Oh, yeah.
It was before
She's
COVID.
John Maxwell
she's-
certified
Yeah,
trainer.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
She's amazing. She
Yep.
owns part of the St. Augustine office.
Yep.
She's one of the investors. And so she comes in and she does some great, great classes, but she's also a life coach and a business coach. So people can hire her outside, from other brokerages. And she has tons of clients all over the place.
All right. These are kind of just rapid answered questions, sort of rapid answered questions. What do you think are, give me 2 or 3 characteristics of a successful real estate agent? You're around some down there, Caruth, you mentioned. What do you think are some of the characteristics of those people?
I would say consistency, dedication, and patience.
Patience. Well, I'd have to work on that one. Consistency, I'm good at. I'm good at that one. 3 must-dos for a new agent, especially real early in the first 6 months. So again, you'd have to restart your career, but what are 3 things that, that new person that walks in that Atlantic office wants to sit down with you, pick your brain? What would you say? Hey, you need to do A, B, and C.
Right. So first thing you should really do is let every single person know that you are a realtor, a licensed sales person in real estate. And you also need to make sure that you have yourself up on every single possible social media platform, whether that be Zillow or Realtor.com or HomeLight or Facebook personal, Facebook business, a LinkedIn, Instagram. Put yourself out there everywhere possible. Come and then put some content out there, and your content should be of value. What's your value proposition? So if you're not bringing any value to people, they're not going to stop to read what you have to say. But if you bring value, then it shows that you're learning or the business, or, you don't want to put just junk out there. You want to make sure.
It could be content of what you're learning in the new hire training class, which I imagine you guys have down there.
Well,
what they taught you, you can go out and create some content, or now with the artificial intelligence out there, go in there and you tell it to, hey, I want to write an article explaining the differences of this, this, and this. And it'll write you a nice article. You can then proof it, change a few lines, stick it up on LinkedIn.
I haven't used that yet, but I've heard about it. Yeah, so you can do any and all of the above, but you cannot be a secret agent. The number one thing is you have to let everyone know that you are now a licensed real estate professional. And the other thing, you should read the MREA book, and then you should go through your phone and go to contacts, hit the word list, and see how many contacts you have in there. And then if you don't know what the Ford method is, learn what that is. It's just 4 very simple steps: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And call people, and don't even talk about real estate.
Right.
They probably already know you're a realtor because you've now posted it everywhere. But if you're literally not posting anything anywhere, no one's going to even know you got licensed.
I think, obviously if you'll change jobs, LinkedIn is generally the one that tells us. If you have LinkedIn, but what I've obviously find everyone that comes on, I go on their LinkedIn because I get, kind of gives me a good timeline of, where they went to school, where some other jobs that they've had and other types of things to create a conversation. But I find there's a good number, too many, I think, that are not going in and using LinkedIn. Heather Monahan, which, like I said, I'm going to give you a copy of her book there to head on. She's all LinkedIn. Of course, she's a keynote speaker. And obviously that's where she's picking up, corporate people who have money are generally interacting on LinkedIn.
Right.
These CEOs or whatever, not all CEOs are upper management type people. And they go on LinkedIn, and you change jobs. If you're got your LinkedIn, it's going to tell everybody there. And of course, the first people, someone's going to say congrats. That should be the first person you call.
That's right. That's right. And there's so many tricks to the, social media platforms and interacting. Like on Google, if you put 150 pictures up, they'll actually put your, ranking up higher on their pages.
150 on your business?
150 on your business page.
I'm going to have to start adding some stuff on there.
And your rank will jump up, So it's
Oh.
little tricks like that are for free.
Which reminds me, Rich, if you got your phone, so we can post it on Instagram. Get an action shot of Julia and I.
Recording us.
I'll give you guys the recording. You'll have the recording.
Okay.
So those are the must-dos. I wanted to make sure we got that as we go back to time. We've answered.
And the last thing is just educate yourself as well. When you're in the beginning of the business, take as many classes at the board and or at your brokerage as much as possible, and really
not just the minimum CE that you need to get. You just keep going every time.
Keep going every single time as much as you can, because you probably don't know what FERPTA is. You probably don't know what a 1031 exchange is. Educate yourself as much as possible.
At least enough to know that when someone hits you with a question, you're like, hey, you know what? I've had a little bit of training on that, but I know someone smarter than me. Give me your detailed question. Let me follow back up with you with a more detail. But if you look at them with a blank stare on your face, like, what's a 1031 exchange? I have no idea what you're talking about. You can lose some credibility there. So totally agree with that. You just brought up social. We've been casually bringing up social media. How important? I know. I imagine Keller Williams is telling you guys video, because that's what they're all telling you. But there's this huge crowd, and I would say it's probably the majority that are still very scared whether to shoot a video, let alone just do a post, not even a video, just a picture, or create some graphic or have there's a lot of graphics out there. You can grab from other places and make something. How important is it to be consistent on your social media platforms?
I think it's very important, because some people are watching more than you realize, and everyone's on social media. Every single person. Like, it used to be, I think, like 75% people shop for homes online. Now it's like 95%, like some crazy number.
Well, your new customers that you're getting non-local referrals. I mean, they're coming from out of state.
Oh yeah, and I mean, Keller Williams is the largest company agent count wise worldwide. So our team, we do get a lot of referrals. And we have 2 agents in our office who are 100% referral based, like all of their business. So they work an entirely different system.
Well, I'm
referring.
I'm more like, because we're in Florida, it's great that you get someone who sold recently, but even that person, if someone moved down here from New York, you got them, you sold them, and then they referred you to their friend who wants to move down. I guarantee that friend's going online and checking 100%, you out.
100%. Right. Absolutely. I'm checking out my customers. When someone calls me, before I even go to meet them, I'm looking them up. There's other ways to do it. You're looking up their LinkedIn for sure. And I went years without using LinkedIn. Like, I just built up my LinkedIn. Like, people would want to connect, and I'd say yes the whole time. I had like 2,000 people on LinkedIn, but never posted on there. And then a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we started consistently posting on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And I saw my traffic and connections really just, not plateau, but like really increase.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is like really much better than I thought it would be. I don't know why I thought LinkedIn was kind of like.
Well, it's not the algorithm like YouTube or, Facebook, where obviously they're.
And I do know YouTube, like really.
Instagram doesn't measure. I mean, LinkedIn doesn't measure like how long you were on LinkedIn.
Right.
It's from what I understand, it likes the long form content article. So to have ChatGPT help you with, putting something up once a week on that, but it's where YouTube and Facebook, they just want to keep you on their page, right? That's their time, and so they can run the advertisements and
right.
But yeah, it's actually, that thing, you don't have to go in there every day, but once or twice a week, post an article, or like you say, put your listing up, whatever. There is a whole, they're linked to you, whether it's my alumni group that I'm active in.
Right.
Those guys
I still have a high school back in New York, where I still have lots of my friends from high school. One of my really good friends just moved here from high school. I hadn't seen her in like 20 years.
She called you?
Yeah, she's here, and she moved to Orange Park. I helped her move down. Yeah,
Touchdown.
So like, I have a friend so I'm also Croatian, which a lot of people don't know. And I'm the first American born in my family. My parents came here from Croatia, and my brother. And I had a good friend from Croatia watch me on Facebook for 2 years. And she's like, I don't know what this place is, St. Augustine. It looks really cool. So she called me one day and was like, I'm flying into Jacksonville. I want to check out St. Augustine. We're thinking about moving back to the States.
Oh, that's cool.
And she has been here now and is a licensed realtor. She moved up off a 210 area and I sold them their townhouse.
Yeah.
And her husband retired and they moved back. We grew up together in New York. There was a Croatian Catholic church in Manhattan. And that's where I was baptized. And my parents made me go to church every Sunday, which is great. It's a great community. But I still try and keep in contact on Facebook with all of those people that I knew that I grew up with. And
You don't know who's watching.
You just don't know who's watching.
You don't know who's watching. So you have to consistently, it's kind of like, you see, there are some agents that put up some billboards around town. That's cool. Cause I mean, whatever their thing is that the billboard puts them on some sort of thing.
It's branding. I get it. I know why people are doing it.
You don't know who's driving by.
I'm in CVS now. I'm on a little board. And
I think I saw you post that. Yeah. But the people driving by on the highway, you don't know who's going to see that and who's going to call, right?
Right.
So so social media, it's free. You can sit down and you can do it at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Go and make your posts, or like I try to do in the morning. I come in and I'll put a couple Instagram reels up. I'll put up, a couple Facebook reels each day, and try to just be consistent.
Sure.
Or YouTube, I can schedule out. You can do it on AOL, but it's not as friendly as YouTube. My YouTube Shorts, I have scheduled out for like a week or.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. If you. The other thing is, like, some people have a niche for marketing or social media. Don't get too lost in that, because that'll suck up your time.
Yes.
And then you won't be selling. And then you'll be like, oh, I have friends who are like website designers. Oh, I've been designing this website. I'm like, that's not going to get you the business.
No.
Having relationships and talking to people is what gets you the business.
You have to get to a point to where you farm that out as quickly
as quickly as possible. Because that will drain you very quickly.
So talk about marketing, and I'll finish up kind of with this question here. What is your go-to marketing? You're probably doing several things, but what do you think is the one thing that is giving you the most return on investment?
For me right now, believe it or not, I am running a lot of Facebook ads, especially like on our listings through my CRM. We use Briverty, which was a competitor, very, very, very similar to Boomtown, which I know Boomtown just got bought out by KV Core. But I like Briverty because he owns like a bunch of Keller Williams offices. Ben Kenny is who owns Briverty. And so they have a whole marketing platform, and I run all of my
So they
ads.
targeted Facebook?
So
you're going in there telling
I go in there, I do Facebook, and then what happens is when the leads come in to my CRM, it sets them up automatically as a customer, and then they get listing alerts based on what they just looked at. So if they looked at a house that's $550,000 in Ponte Vedra, or Ponte Vedra might not be 550, but maybe 750, but
Right.
or higher, it will set them up automatically on what they just viewed. So it helps do all the automation for me automatically. So all I have to do is touch base with that customer once they come into
But
my
from the
CRM.
Facebook endpoint, so that it's reading them, it's adding them to your targeted Facebook thing, so your stuff is popping up.
And I'm getting leads every single day. I get a ton of online leads, and I have to get better. I do admit I have to get better at handling that. But my daughter right now has a little bit of a system, so she has auto plans in place.
Simplify that down for me a little bit, though.
Sure.
For someone who may not understand how Facebook, because Facebook, if I can go into Facebook and tell it that I want every Citadel alumni to get my thing, they'll cross-reference and have whatever thousands of people that have themselves, that identifies them as an alumni,
right?
And it will target them. So you can actually narrow it down to like even neighborhoods with Facebook.
Right. You can do a bunch of different things. And actually at Keller Williams, with their free CRM that they just built, it's a proprietary software program called Command. You can run Facebook ads and Instagram ads through there as well. What's nice about our system is it actually shows you where people are moving from. So you can look, they have a map of the United States and it will show the percentages of people. And right now, the number one area that like our agents are referring business to is Orlando. So from Orlando to St. Augustine is a big transition right now.
Oh, interesting.
So what I've been doing is I've been running my ads targeting people in Orlando for properties here in St.
Now
Augustine.
you're narrowing that target down, though. I guess you're not farming all of Orlando.
No,
that would be
if
expensive.
I have a new listing, I'm advertising it to people in Orlando
that have been clicking on St. Augustine.
Right. They're looking for properties here.
They have been looking at things in St. Augustine. So it's finding those people out and then sending your information right in front of them.
Right. And my listing's in front of them.
Yeah.
There's another way that you can go into realtor.com. I'd have to send you the link, but they're another really good platform. If you want to know where people are moving to your area from, if you go to the bottom of their page, I can't remember exactly what it's called. I have it saved as a bookmark on my laptop, but you can actually search to see where people are moving to this Northeast Florida region from what states. And so I know like New York was a big one, Chicago, Washington, D.C. was actually high on the list as well.
A lot of remote workers there, I bet.
Right. And so those are areas that you might want to target when you have listings, or you're just targeting, just promote yourself as a realtor.
But I think you summed it up great. This information is priceless, but again, it can overwhelm you.
Right.
Where you're sitting there all day long studying where are they coming from, but it's not. So you've got to graduate to that level, even if it's baby steps, but you have to where you can find someone like your daughter who has that time, who's young and is learning the business,
right? Because
they can sit there and find that information out for you.
Correct.
You knowing it is, okay, I know that, but them actually going, yes, they're moving from Orlando. We need to redirect our Facebook ads to people who are looking that have been clicking on
that
stuff
city
and things
or that state or wherever they're coming from. And, Gary Keller makes it very simple for us. They did a study and they interviewed all of the top agents nationally with our company. And he said, describe like what are top agents doing? It's a very simple formula in this business. There's two parts to your day. The first part is prospecting. The second part is service. That's all it should be. You shouldn't have any confusion. Don't let distractions come into your business day. That's what will make you fail. If you keep the prospecting in the morning, then you have to do service in the afternoon. If you do service in the morning, then you have to prospect in the afternoon. There's two parts to a day. That's it. That's the whole formula. Very, very simple. And, Gary Keller says that all the time. We went back to all the top producing agents. Top producing agents in our company today are still prospecting, booking appointments, or doing some sort of service in the afternoon, which could be inspections. It could be email responses, setting up, whatever. It could
showing
be a number
house
of
or whatever.
things.
Yeah.
But if you're not prospecting, your business is never going to grow.
Right. I have my last semi-informal question. Do you have anything you want to add to this conversation that we want anyone out there who may be listening to this far into?
I just want to add that there's a home for every agent, and not every brokerage is going to be right for everyone. So don't judge how other brokerages are doing it. I started in one place and I grew, and then I grew again, and so for me, Keller really wrote the book on teams. And so I felt like one day I'm going to do a team, and actually Rich pushed us to go to Keller because he didn't feel like he was getting some of the training that he wanted for himself as a solo agent. When he first joined me, he's like, I just need to learn more because I was a high D. I wasn't training him the way I should have. Right? Even though I like to train people, I wasn't slowing down enough to be like, okay, this is how I'm doing this. This is why this is happening.
Right.
Here's the contract. I just could not slow myself down enough. So he needed to go to a place that really, really offered all of that training, and they have a phenomenal training program there.
We didn't dig very deep into it. It's generally a conversation that does come up that we got off on some other different things, but the interviewing the broker, if you're a new agent, don't just sign up on there, even though they may be your friend. I mean, I've had several agents on here that went over and talked to Kim Knapp. Kim Knapp told them to go talk to other people, and they ended up going with other people.
We do it
and
all
are very
the time.
successful.
I tell people, I think you'd be better suited over at this brokerage or that. Yeah. Because you just never know. And some people come and then they leave and they go, everybody has a home, and everyone's business motto, the way they do
little
it. It's
different.
not for everyone. Everyone's a little different. So don't, judge, just find your place and what's
And
going to give
you
you
will,
what you need.
and some places are really good at brand new agents.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they
and
just-
others don't even want them.
No, yeah.
Because they don't have the training and they're like,
You'll
go
reach
get
a
trained and then
value
come
add
see us.
when there's no longer a value, which seemed like you guys were getting there. The value wasn't there, and you moved on to somewhere else.
Right.
And it may happen again. You don't foresee it right now, but everyone needs to be comfortable enough to realize, leadership changes,
Mhm.
and then the trainings aren't there, or they're not as good anymore. They keep talking about the same thing, and they're
Right.
not moving forward. Well, then you're gonna need to go, over there and find someone who's going to add that value. I always take that word from Sarah Rocco. Actually, she was the one who said, when you stop adding value, then they start looking other places.
That's absolutely
Yep.
100% right. And she's a rock star, right?
Yes.
Sarah Rocco is
Yep.
a rock star. She's another one to be, look at her and learn from her and see how she did it.
And she's only been in the business
She's
6
been-
years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she
6,
hasn't
7
even
years
been in
now.
the business that long, and
Mhm.
she's absolutely killing it. But
Yep.
she's taken the time to study it and go through it and figure it out and write it out,
Mhm.
So they have their systems in place. She's really perfected it. And actually, Russell, who runs our office in St. Augustine, Russell Nicholson, he's phenomenal, by the way. He's actually helped our business grow just because he actually started with Sarah Rocco.
Yes, I
And-
think I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and when her team was first taking off, he was helping her, implement some of the systems and hiring and all of that good stuff. And now he's doing our hiring, which he's done a great job at. teaching as
Last
well.
question. Is it more important who you know or what you know and why?
I definitely think I feel like it's a combination, to be honest. I don't think one is more important than the other. I think it is, the more people you know, the more you talk to, the more your business is going to grow. But if you don't know how to do the business, then that doesn't matter either.
You got to find out another as you found a who to help you with that.
Right. So you've got to find, it's a delicate balance. I mean, you have to kind of be a pro at everything. You have to know a little bit about everything. But also the continuing education is important, because a lot of us who have been in the business a long time, we get so busy, we forget to go back to classes and just refresh ourselves. So it's important to constantly be learning, because you're never going to know it all and things are always changing.
Excellent. I appreciate you coming on today.
Hey, my pleasure.
I hope
This was so much
your
fun.
audience, your daughter, she's still watching, but I'll send you the whole video so she can cut it up. Obviously, it's already out on Facebook. It'll be out on
Somebody watched it
Apple,
today.
Spotify, etc. next Tuesday.
Okay,
It'll
cool.
go out there, and I appreciate it. And you'll obviously start seeing the reels here probably beginning of next week as I start putting them up from the show. But
Awesome.
thanks for coming on.
This is my first podcast.
Yeah,
It was so much
awesome.
fun.
Did
Well,
awesome.
thanks for the invite.
No problem at all. I'll give a
Okay.
pan out shot, but I'm going to go ahead and sign off here.
All right.
Thanks for watching.